What's happening, guys? It's your buddy Griz, and welcome back for another episode of my weekly Battlefield 4 series, Hit Up. This week we're doing some EOD botting, which is always good for the lols. But before we start, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you leave me your suggestion for what setup you want to see me use next week. And Ski, I know you really wanted me to do your loadout this week, but I looked for the comment and it was nowhere to be found. Good old YouTube. So yeah, sorry about that, man. But leave me another loadout in the comments again this week and I'll try to work it in for next week. But this week our setup comes to us from Nothjarnan, who suggests the overkill setup consisting of the P90 with a red dot sight, laser, and compensator. And the camo I threw on there is the Black Shark camo, which I rather like. I think it's pretty good. For my sidearm, I'll be using the Shorty 12 gauge with a ghost ring and a flashlight, also Black Shark camo. For the gadgets, I've got the RPG 7 on my back and Little Wally the EOD bot in my pocket. My field upgrade is offensive to complement the run and gun style I'll be employing as usual. And for my knife, I'm using the Bowie because bowies and spies. Sorry. Now I don't want to waste too much time getting into it here, so let's go ahead and look at the stats on this beast. The P90 does a maximum damage of 21 and a minimum damage of 11.2, firing at a blistering 900 rounds per minute and having a magazine capacity of 50 rounds, plus 1 in the chamber for 51 total. The P90 is certainly one of the better PDWs for close quarter battles. Reload times, though, are 3.45 seconds when empty and 2.45 seconds while still containing a round in the chamber. And its bullet velocity is one of the higher values in the class at 460 meters per second, meaning there's not a lot of leading required when targeting enemies on the move. Among the P90's most striking attributes are its rate of fire and magazine size. Unlike the CZ3A1, which also has a very high rate of fire, but only has the standard 30-round magazine, this guy has got a full 50-round ammo reserve. So unlike the CZ3A1, you won't be needing to reload as often when you're faced with multiple enemies at once, which is definitely going to work in your favor, especially when you consider the P90's awful reload times. They aren't the absolute worst in the class, but still, 3.45 seconds for an empty reload is pretty bad for a weapon that is supposedly made for close quarters. However, the larger magazine definitely helps balance out these longer reload times. Using the P90 took a little getting used to because of my terrible CRS. I really need to see a doctor about that. But once I got it ingrained in my brain that I didn't need to reload after every kill, it got a little easier to do better with it, for sure. The hip fire on the P90 is amazing, so that laser sight was definitely an excellent choice. I figured the laser sight is kind of a must-have for this weapon because it really allows you to take full advantage of the already amazing hipfire capabilities of the P90. Besides, PDWs are just meant for a run and gun playstyle, and hipfiring is a big part of that. But I'm not sure how I feel about the compensator. I found myself using automatic fire the majority of the time, so I think for my playstyle at least I'd rather run the barrel naked, or maybe with a suppressor to try and up that stealth game. But the compensator does help when it comes to longer range gunfights, as it does reduce the recoil on the P90 a bit, and if you're tap firing you should have no problem at all taking out guys at medium to longer ranges. The Shorty 12 gauge is an amazing sidearm, and I think it complements this particular kit perfectly. The Shorty is a close quarters weapon, obviously, since it is a shotgun, and so is the P90, so having both your primary and secondary weapons be absolute close quarters monsters works out very well. It definitely saved my ass a few times when I did run out of ammo for the P90, and it is absolutely a better option to switch to this thing instead of trying to reload if you think a guy may be coming up on you. So don't chance the reload with the P90, guys. It just takes too long. Switch to the Shorty and 9 times out of 10 you will win a CQ battle with it. And just one last note on that, I love the way the ghost ring looks on the Shorty. Moving on to the gadgets now. You saw in the beginning of the video how you can have a little bit of fun in domination and TDM games using the EOD bot. It's pretty funny and rewarding when you get a kill with Wally because people really don't expect it in game modes like that. In fact, the engineer class in general I think is a lot more useful in TDM and domination than people give it credit for. It takes a little bit of creative thinking, but you can use some of the engineer's gadgets to net a few kills each round, and also maybe create some lulls and confusion along the way. But in game modes like Rush and Carrier Assault, the EOD bot is even more useful. You can destroy vehicles with it, arm and disarm MCOM stations, and there's always the possibility of going on an epic EOD bot MCOM defense streak, which I did, but recorded it in 480p. Ugh, so I decided not to include it. But man, I wish I could have though, because I got like 4 guys in a row trying to defuse an MCOM, and it was hilarious. Now the RPG is also an excellent choice for an engineer to take with him. It deals the most damage per shot out of all the launchers, but in turn, it's a little harder to aim. The rocket drops off after only a few feet, so if you're going to use it for a long-range shot, make sure you aim nice and high above the vehicle because you will see a lot of drop from the rocket. I use the RPG quite often during these games, and I am totally not above sending rockets down enemy infantry's way and picking up some dirty long-range RPG kills, because that is quite rewarding as well. And it really was my only option for long-range engagements with this kit particular. And it worked out a few times, so don't be afraid to use your RPGs against infantry either, guys. But what the RPG is definitely best at is taking out vehicles, obviously. And the boats are basically wells of kills. If you can manage to land your RPG on the deck where the miniguns are, anybody standing on that deck is toasted, along with getting that vehicle hit as well. Just try to keep in mind when you're firing your RPGs at a boat to maybe aim and try to land it on the deck, because trust me, you will enjoy the results. But that brings us to the end of another episode of Kit Up. Thank you, Nath Jarnan, for your wonderful setup suggestion. I really had a blast using this kit, and I encourage you guys to go try it out for yourself, because it is a great setup for a run-and-gun engineer class. Please keep the suggestions coming, guys. I'm really enjoying making this series, and I'm very, very glad you're enjoying watching it. It really means a lot to me. And if you're new around here, I'd love it if you would subscribe to the channel. I'm trying my hardest to hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed recently. Welcome. And to the veterans of the channel, thank you for sticking around, watching my videos, and helping me grow. If you liked the video or found it helpful at all, you can leave it some love by clicking that like button down below. You know, if you want, no pressure. Do it. My name is Griz, and I would just like to say once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.